X-Men 97. One of the best animated projects that we've ever gotten from Marvel Studios, and some would even say that it is one of the best projects just in general that we've ever gotten from Marvel. And honestly, I kind of agree. X-Men 97 Season 1 was absolutely spectacular, not just from a storytelling perspective, but also from an animation perspective. And it did something that a lot of series or movies try to do, which is bring back something from the past and recapture that amazing nostalgia, beauty, whatever you want to call it. A lot of things end up falling flat. However, X-Men 97 Season 1 did the exact opposite. It shed light on characters like Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Rogue, some of which got neglected in the Fox movies or in other cartoons that have been since that kind of 1994 to 2010 era. And I know there was a huge focus on Wolverine for a huge length of time, whereas this series really shed light on some of the other characters. And again, as we know from the end of season 1, we are going to be getting a season 2, and that's why today we're going to be talking everything we know about season 2 of X-Men 97. But before we get into anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Alright, X-Men 97 Season 2. We actually know a good amount about this upcoming season, not just the release date, which that has somewhat been announced, not an official date, but we do know about when it will come out. We do know that the showrunner did get replaced from season 1 to season 2. There were rumors about them scrapping essentially everything about the original plans for season 2. However, everything that I've looked up, that is pretty much all false. Yes, the showrunner did change. However, all of the story elements that were in place for season 2, especially the ones that got teased in season 1, are still there. And as we know, we ended off the first season with them defeating Bastion and kind of being separated. Some of the X-Men were sent to the past. And we know this because they encounter En-Sabah-Nur, which, if any of you know, if you read the comics or have seen some of the other animated series, you will know that is Apocalypse. But it's Apocalypse before he becomes Apocalypse. And that's when you get into some of the story details that we do know about this upcoming season. And that's that we are going to have 3 separate X-Men teams in 3 separate times. One team is going to be in the past. Obviously, we know a couple of them. Obviously, it'll be Magneto, Professor X, Wolverine is back there as well. And they will get to know En-Sabah-Nur. And they will come to understand how he becomes Apocalypse. And they are going to explore Professor Xavier specifically getting somewhat close to En-Sabah-Nur before he becomes Apocalypse. He's going to start to understand his ideology. He's going to see the journey he goes on from becoming this pharaoh, this good person, to someone cruel, horrible, and sadistic that is Apocalypse. And one of the other teasers that we did leave off on was Apocalypse in the present day on Genosha. We saw Gambit's playing card, which, if any of you know from the comics or again from any other animated projects, this is a very common thing that Apocalypse does, and that is the 4 Horsemen. A lot of times he recruits mutants or mutants that have recently passed away, and he imbues them with even greater power by enhancing their mutant abilities, and in return, they serve him. Now, a lot of the times in stories in which characters actually get resurrected to follow Apocalypse, they have even more at stake, because sometimes their life is actually tied to Apocalypse, which that could give us such an interesting dynamic with Gambit coming back, having to face Rogue seeing him after actively choosing Magneto. Again, was it necessarily because she loves Magneto more or anything like that? No, it's simply because she can touch Magneto. She literally can't touch Gambit without him essentially dying or coming very close to dying, comatose, whatever you want to call it. That's not the good groundwork for any type of relationship, obviously they would need to be able to touch each other. She can't even kiss him. And what's most sad about that is one of the only times she actually does touch him is after he dies. And she even says, like, I can't feel you anymore. I'm touching you and nothing's happening. And that was one of the best episodes of the entire season. It was so sad, so gripping, and the animation in it was, again, spectacular. I don't think there was a single episode in which I was disappointed with the animation. I don't know about you guys out there. But that being said, there are a couple other things that we do know about this season. There will be, like I said, 3 separate mutant teams. The one I mentioned in the past, the one in the present will be Bishop and Forge, I believe. Again, take some of this with a grain of salt, as it's not all officially confirmed. And then they do say we are going to have a smaller mutant team in the future. And the ones that I saw listed were Jean Grey, Scott Summers, and Cable, which again makes sense because that is their child. Well, Scott's child, at least. Obviously, we know that's Jean Grey's clone, which again, she passed away, so she's gone. She died on Genosha. But that will be a really interesting dynamic to see unfold on screen, how the 3 of them kind of communicate and have to work together. Obviously, a lot of them did reconcile in the finale because they were pretty much all certain that some or most of them were just going to die and not make it out of there. I know, especially when Scott was blowing up that thing in the tower, or even when Mr. Sinister and Jean Grey were fighting, they definitely thought they were not going to make it out of there. So I do remember they had a little bit of an astral projection thing where they all started conversing and almost saying their goodbyes, but also reconciling because none of them wanted to regret how they left things. That being said, the other things that we do know, we are going to get a couple other villains in this season. There were some rumors about Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. However, nothing concrete that I could see that were actually confirmed. Now, this would be really cool if they did actually appear. One of the other characters that is connected to Magneto was Polaris. And if that character is in it, obviously I think it's way more likely that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver do appear. And I think that would be absolutely awesome. Magneto is literally one of, if not my favorite X-Men character, up there with Quicksilver. So I would obviously love this. Polaris is a really cool character. I don't think she's actually appeared in anything aside from Wolverine and the X-Men, and that unfortunately did only get 1 season. So again, that being said, there's a lot of things out there that are more so just speculation, and then some things that are actually confirmed. One thing that is 100% confirmed is the fact that the voice actor for Charles Xavier made a statement, because the entire voice acting is complete for this season. And he went on to say that this season is going to be much, much darker. There are going to be way more adult themes and way, way more deaths. So this is really interesting. Obviously, season 1, we did get Gambit. However, he is going to come back. Now, is he going to come back and somehow be officially resurrected even after Apocalypse is defeated? I think so. I don't think they would go about bringing him back just to kill him off again. So that being said, I do think he is officially safe. The other interesting thing is the original plans to end the original X-Men series in the 90s was going to be with 4 major character deaths. And this is 100% confirmed. Originally, Professor X, Cyclops, Storm were all going to die in the finale. That 4th spot was never officially confirmed. It was either going to be Jean Grey, Forge, or Rogue. Now again, of those characters, in my opinion, the one that would hold the most weight would be Rogue, specifically because she would leave behind people to mourn, and having Jean Grey die would feel kind of anticlimactic, because as we know, they did do the Phoenix Saga already in this story. So you already had a storyline in which she did die, she was mourned, and a lot of the people that would mourn her, especially Cyclops, Professor X, would be gone as well. So that being said, I do not see Jean Grey dying in this season. I also don't know if I could see Professor X dying in this season, only because we were somewhat teased with his death in the original. However, That one I think is way more likely than Jean Grey. I could also see Nightcrawler being a fatality, especially because of how popular he's become. Some of these characters that are going to die will be lesser characters, but some, especially to give us that impact and that emotional weight, will be fan favorite characters. So in my opinion, the most likely characters to die are Rogue, Cyclops, Professor X, Nightcrawler, and then I would throw in Colossus just because I feel like they're going to kill off a few characters who aren't huge major parts of the team, but then also kill off some characters who are huge parts of the team. Some of the other ones that I could see them doing would be Jubilee and then also Magneto. Because again, he's been in it since the very beginning. And yes, we have been baited with his death before, but if he does some sort of sacrificial thing where he saves Charles or saves the X-Men, maybe saves the world, that could redeem him for a lot of things that he's done. I know in the last season he got redeemed for pretty much everything, but then towards the end he did spiral back into being more of an evil character. Some will say he was right and justified in a lot of what he did. Some will say no, he was still wrong, he was going to kill a lot of people. But again, I think to me, any of those character deaths will hold a lot of weight, and Magneto would carry a lot of weight, not just for the X-Men or us, the audience, but also for his kids, for Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Polaris. That would be a huge impact that could lead us then into season 3, which again, it hasn't been confirmed that we're going to get a season 3. I really do think we are, just with the popularity of season 1, and season 2 got confirmed pretty much right when season 1 premiered. So in my opinion, that'll probably happen again. And as for when this season is set to come out, it will not be in 2025, unfortunately. I wish it was. It is confirmed for 2026. They haven't given an official date. However, it won't be in the first or second quarter. So to me, I think it'll be probably right around fall, September, maybe October, and that'll lead us into the new year. But again, either way, I'm really, really excited for this season. There's so much that can be done with all these different characters that they are teasing, that they have teased, and even just some of the concepts that are out there. But what do all of you think? What are you most excited about for season 2? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you guys are down there, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.